Hello, and welcome to AVID Achievers. I am your host, Dot Arita, coordinator of AVID. This season on AVID Achievers, we will be joined by AVID teachers from across the county who will be interviewing their former AVID students in their college settings. These interviews will help us to learn more about local colleges and see what skills these AVID students from AACPS are putting to use in the college setting. We hope you enjoy these interviews.
Thank you for meeting with me today to tell us about your college experience so far. I know you go to Salisbury, and I would love to hear a little bit more about Salisbury.
Okay, awesome. Hi, I'm Alexis. I am a senior at Salisbury University. Salisbury it's a smaller school on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. We are a suburban campus on about 200 acres. I really love the size of it. Salisbury is kind of that cute little niche small school. Makes it feel like you're not just another face. We have 45 distinct majors across 23 fields of study. So there's a lot to get into here. Acceptance rate, we're looking at about a 73.5% acceptance rate for their SAT scores. What I really liked about Salisbury was I'm not a test taker, so I was terrified for the SATs. They accept an SAT score from a 1080 to a 1230, an ACT of a 22 to a 26, but if you have a 3.5 GPA or higher, you do not have to submit your SAT scores, which I thought was a really interesting thing. I ended up choosing to do both. I had 3.5, but I also did my SAT scores. And I liked that option just because it felt a little less restricting applying to the university. One of the really unique things about Salisbury is we're a pretty fairly cheap school. In-state tuition's about $10,000. Out-of-state's about $20,000. And then we have various schools at our university within the different majors. So we have the Fulton School of Liberal Arts, the Seidel School of Education, the Henson School of Science and Technology, the Purdue School of Business, and then we have the College of Health and Human Sciences. So there's so much to pick from at Salisbury.
All right, thank you for that. Interesting about the SAT scores, because I feel like in the last year or so, it's become more and more a thing for colleges to not use the SAT score as much. But so you started 3 years ago.
I applied in the fall of 2017.
Okay.
I started the fall of 2018.
Okay. So going back that far, SAT scores were becoming less of the acceptance. Okay.
I'm sure I can't. Oh my gosh, it's been almost 4 years. Wow, that's crazy.
I know. Time flies, I'm sure. So what is it that's fun to do around campus?
So personally, I am involved in Squawkapella. That is the a cappella group here on campus. There's so much to do though at Salisbury. We have everything from all of our Division III sports teams where they have club levels and intramural levels, as well as I think we have almost over 200 clubs, from like Quidditch to sign language to best buddies. There's dance groups, there's political groups, there's really anything you want to get involved in at Salisbury. There's always something to do. The school's really good about our SGA has all kinds of events. So when you're walking through our main campus, it's called Red Square out in front of our library. There's always some organization doing something. So today, Zeta Tau Alpha, one of the sororities, did a benefit for charity, and they were like pieing different members. You could pay $1 and go pie one of their members. They do raffles out there. There's always something to do when you're walking around.
Nice. That sounds like a very fun and active campus.
It really is.
So if you could tell us about your experience at Anne Arundel County Public Schools from elementary, middle, and high school, where did you attend? And you can include in that your experience with AVID during that time.
Okay, awesome. So I started in elementary school at Pasadena Elementary. I got introduced to the AVID program through my guidance counselor. My mom seemed really interested in it. I was going to be a first-generation college student, so she thought it would be good to get me in it early. I applied and started in 6th grade at Chesapeake Bay Middle School with Miss Granger. I then had Miss Parker for 7th and 8th grade. And then I went to Chesapeake Senior High School, and I had Miss Byer for my 4 years at Chesapeake. I, in that time, was AVID president my junior and senior year and got to attend the leadership conference all 4 years through the county.
Nice.
Pretty involved in AVID.
Yes, that's great. That's something I missed with COVID. I hope those leadership conferences come back. I was able to attend while I was teaching AVID part-time at my previous middle school. So that's something I look forward to being able to do in high school. So what do you remember most about AVID in middle school or high school? And what skills did you learn that you took on to college?
So being completely honest, at first I was extremely turned off by AVID because I immediately saw it as like, I have another class full of work. And I don't think I truly accepted what the class was and really used its benefits until high school, where I really kind of realized, oh my gosh, this is here to help me. This is something that's going to help me get through. And so being a first generation college student, especially, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't really kind of know, I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know what kind of school I wanted to go to. I didn't know how the whole process worked. And I think AVID really allowed me to get that first insight to it. I mean, even from visiting colleges in 6th grade all the way up through 12th grade, you got to really see what you liked, what you didn't like. On the aspect of like the more academic side, I am a little bit of a crazy person. My head gets a little scattered. I have a lot going on all the time. A big thing that AVID did for me was teach me how to actually plan out in a planner. Like not just write things down, but actually plan out how I would do things, section it. And my planner is always by my side. I think I constantly use that on a regular basis. I probably look at it like 20 times a day, making sure I do things. And it honestly has helped me keep really organized in college because there's always something going on, especially in your classes as you get through to like my senior year. Now I never assumed I'd be this busy, and I'm extremely busy. So having that organization is really, really nice. Organization was definitely key, as well as note taking. I had no idea how to take notes. And I think, I'm not sure if you guys still use the Cornell note style. That was an AVID staple. But we also, throughout my years in AVID, experienced different types of note taking, and you kind of got to learn what worked best for you. That really prepared me for college, going to sit through, a 50-minute to an hour and a half lecture where it's just kind of non-stop content thrown at you. It's really useful to be able to sit there, take your notes, but then be able to know how to go back and like take the information that's important. Because sometimes you sit in a class and you're like, all right, I'm just going to write everything down. Well, okay, but what are you going to do next? And I think AVID allowed me to say, okay, now that I have all of this information, how do I make it a tool for me to learn this, to study with it, and then to, obviously understand the content. So I loved the organization skills. I loved the college aspect of like getting to go and visit them. I also thought it was really interesting how AVID prepared you. I mean, through every step of the process, it wasn't that they held it. AVID held your hand, but it was kind of, it gave you the framework and the support to be able to go through each step. I had no idea what I was doing when it came to applying for college. I didn't know how I needed to fill out questions. I didn't know what kind of essay to write. And luckily, the AVID program had me prepared. I had written all different types of essays. I had made a resume. I had answered similar questions. So when it went into going to apply, I was like, oh, I have all of this. It's not as big as I think it is. And I thought that was really incredible. We went through FAFSA my senior year. We all sat down, people had family members come in, and we sat through the entire process and applied. Every student applied, even though some of us wouldn't get FAFSA. We kind of just did the application just to see how it would work, if we would ever need to use it. And I thought that was really useful of a skill because you never know when you might need it.
Nice. That sounds, wow. I love all of your examples. And I can't wait for my students to see this interview so they know that what they're learning, someday they're going to thank us.
I promise. I had that exact same feeling. I was like, when am I ever going to use this? This is a waste of my time. And now sitting like years later, I'm like, wow, I would have been drowning had I not had all of those tools.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So how did AVID help you get into college? Well, you mentioned, the application process, but also pay for and to prepare for college.
So we, in my senior year, applied for scholarships. It was kind of a requirement the way we did it, where we applied for so many a week. And it allowed everyone to kind of just get some money under their belts, some different things that you wouldn't really think to apply for. There's more money out there for college than just like FAFSA or just like scholarships through like your school or through the university. So getting to see what's out there with that, and then obviously we did financial aid and all. We got to see what were the different ways we could pay for college if you didn't have the financial support at home.
Nice. Okay. So what is your favorite thing about your current college experience? And then what is your least favorite? So give me
Okay.
some of each.
My favorite thing definitely has to be the people. Um, I came to college. I was really fortunate with my best friend. It was not intentional. We did not plan to go to the same college. And I was really concerned at first because I was like, I'm not going to make any other friends. But that totally wasn't the case. You're constantly interacting with people all of the time. And I have made friends from my freshman year, the people that lived in my dorm, that I had like a class or two with, that I see now, you know, almost 4 years later, and we still are friendly, and it's so nice to have those relationships. I really feel like I found my people, if that's like cliche to say,
Mhm.
here at Salisbury. I've never felt more at home, and I think that was really what did it for me. I actually, when I came to campus with my AVID group, we came my junior year, and I cried when I walked on the campus. And it had been about my third time here. And I started crying. And my mom like looked at me and was like, Alexis, what are you doing? And I was like, I can just see myself here. I
Wow.
held on to that for a really long time. And then I had a panic, like summer going into senior year. I was like, oh, this is where I want to go. Oh my goodness. And applied to all these different schools. And I got into everything. And I was like, Salisbury's for me. And when I came here, it really solidified that. And I think it's the ability to walk around campus and always have someone say hi to you, no matter what kind of day you're having. You know someone's going to say hi, and it really brightens your day. So I definitely have to say the best part about college is the people. And what you're very fortunate about is that's going to be wherever you go. So it doesn't always have to be Salisbury. I love Salisbury. I'm a big Salisbury fan. I promote it so much. But that's one of the best parts about college. My least favorite part, wow. I think currently it's sometimes the workload, um, especially being a college generation that has went through the pandemic. So I mean, as well as many of the high schoolers that'll be listening to this, you have went through that pandemic as well. So everything went virtual, and at least for a lot of college students, our curriculum got very slow paced. Assignments were very lax. It was very different. And going back into now our senior year, we're all in 400 500 level classes. We're full in action. A lot of us have internships, and so I think it's just really the balancing of everything can be a little overwhelming. So that's probably my least favorite part, but there's always that light at the end of the tunnel that's coming. That's like I get to walk across the stage and get my degree, and it'll all be worth for something.
Yes. Excellent. So what would you tell AVID students right now that you wish you knew then?
Trust yourself when you're picking your college. Um, I feel like personally I knew. I am me. I knew at every college I went to, I was like, no, this isn't for me. This one's not for me. You kind of just know, so trust yourself with whatever decision that is. And if that major, if that college, if that dorm, whatever that roommate, whatever that decision is that like you make, and if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I entered college as a nursing major. I was dead set on being a nursing major, and that ended up not being the case for me. And I, for the longest time, held on to that so much, and I felt really defeated and disappointed in myself. Now looking at it a couple years later, it was the best decision I think I've ever made in my life. And so you kind of have to just trust yourself. I know you feel like, especially being like a high schooler right about to go into college, that new age of 18 is terrifying because there's so many things. It's like, all right, now you get to make decisions. You're still a kid, but you still have to make decisions, and trust yourself because you know what you want at the end of the day. And you'll be fine. You'll totally be fine. I promise. Even when it's scary, because I promise it's still scary.
Excellent answer. So what are your future goals after college? And have you changed your mind since high school? It sounds like you have changed from nursing. Yeah. So tell us what's the new plan?
I originally entered college, like I said, as a nursing student. My goal was to go in, do like a general BSN, and work in a hospital. I had a incident happen my freshman year with some family, and I decided that nursing really wasn't for me. And I had always known I wanted to be a teacher, but I was very scared. I once had someone tell me, the world doesn't need any more teachers. So I changed my major and I changed my whole life. And when I came back to that decision about nursing, I gotten through the first semester and I was into second semester and I was like, I just don't feel like this is what's for me. This doesn't feel right. I'm not enjoying the content in my classes. I didn't feel like I belonged there. So when I made the decision to change, I knew it wanted to be education and I ended up going into early childhood education. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. I really knew that's where I wanted to be, and I didn't have confirmation until the fall of my sophomore year when I got to go into my first ever placement into a school, and I got to work with students. I cried my first day, and I remember calling my mom and I was like, "Okay, mom, this is it. Like I've never felt more like this is what I'm supposed to be doing." It was one of those moments I was like, you hear about it in movies, you read about it in books. But like I had that moment and I was so excited to get to do that. I'm so sorry, my computer just moved you. So my future plans with that is I'm going to graduate with my bachelor's in early childhood education. I would like to stay here on the Eastern Shore, actually, surprisingly, and work for a couple years, get my master's through Salisbury. I'd like to be a preschool or kindergarten teacher, and just kind of continue my education. I would really like to get my doctorate in education
Wow.
at some point. So I absolutely love it. I think that was the biggest thing the past 2 years is finding that I like as you get through once you get past gen eds and you get through into more of like your course content and what's really relative to your major, it starts to be like that's when I feel like you really know. And I think it's that switch in your brain of maturity where I'm intrigued by the information. I want to know more. I'm not just sitting in a class anymore. I hear myself talking about it all of the time, whether I'm with my friends, whether I'm with my classmates or my family, whoever I'm around. I always want to talk about education. And I think that's like, it was that moment. So I want to teach, obviously, and then hopefully get some degrees and work in the whole education system. I'm not really sure where I want to go exactly of, do I want to just be a full-time teacher for the rest of my life? Do I want to work in administration or work in education? But right now we're going to go with teaching and go from
Yeah. You've got plenty of time to figure that out. And I actually had that aha moment about teaching. I was much later in life, but I got a job as a part-time secretary in a school. And I was like, I really like being in the school. I think I want to be a teacher. And my degree wasn't in education. I had no interest in it until that moment, like you said, this is it. This is where I belong.
I think it's an incredible thing. I know a lot of my friends who have completely different majors. My roommate is in environmental science and biology double major, and she started doing research. She does research on birds, and she said when her research started to take off, she was like, "Oh my goodness, wait, this is it. Like this is what I want to do forever, and like I'm actually doing it. Like those dreams I had as a little kid. I think that's let me rephrase it. That is the big thing. It's those dreams that you have for yourself as a small child. You feel them starting to come true." And that's like the amazing part about college, I think, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So, what has been the easiest or the most challenging adjustment to college life for you, either socially, academically? What's been the
So going into freshman year, I think it's a big change for a lot of people. I grew up, you know, with my own room, so moving in with a roommate was a lot. I was really fortunate to get put into our suite style living, so I had just my roommate and we shared a bathroom with two other girls. That whole lifestyle is a huge adjustment for a lot of people. Just being constantly surrounded by people is a little new. I think getting used to also that like newfound freedom. You kind of can do what you want, whenever you want, and so it's definitely a big adjustment. But it's a nice adjustment because you start to kind of feel like your own person. I think academically, it was a big shift in classes. I mean, really, it was really my classes because a lot of your freshman year classes are going to be lectures. Now, one of the nice things about Salisbury is we're a smaller school, so we don't have 500 people lectures. You're maxing at maybe 120, 150. But then So that was a big change for me. Now, granted, now I've gotten through my course. My classes are about 12 people, which is really, really nice. It's a very personal education, which I really enjoy. But I definitely think getting used to just being a number in a class and kind of that whole lecture style of I'm not going to hand you an assignment to do today in class. You're going to listen to somebody lecture and teach. It's definitely new, but you adjust really well. It takes a minute. You kind of get your feet wet and you're like, okay, I got this. It's a different style of learning, but you figure it out along the way. That would be my most challenging thing, really adjusting to dorm life and kind of just getting used to the different type of classes.
Right. Yep. That makes sense. All right. Well, the last two questions I think we definitely already covered about how you pick the major that you're in and how you pick the college that you're at. So I definitely feel like you covered that in great detail before. So unless you have anything to add, I think we are good to go.
I think my biggest thing I would just add is, be really confident in yourself. You can do this and enjoy every little moment about the rest of your senior year, the rest of your high school, applying for college and that whole journey into college. I think you take those moments for granted a little bit because you kind of want to rush through them. And now looking back as a senior, I wish I would have held on to them a little bit longer, but embrace them all because it's a part of like the next chapter of your life. And it's going to be awesome. You're going to be incredible. I know. I don't know who I'm talking to, but I know you're going to.
They're all going to love it. And they all need to hear that. So that's great. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today on AVID Achievers. Join us next time to meet some more AVID graduates in their college settings.